Steelers tease new throwbacks, announce dates for alternate uniforms. The Pittsburgh Steelers uniforms haven't changed much during the Super Bowl era. But the team has sometimes featured unique and colorful throwback uniforms. Steelers president Art Rooney teased new throwbacks while speaking to Steelers.com's Missy Matthews on Wednesday. Rooney also revealed when during the 2025 NFL season the team will wear the new alternate uniforms. "We are going to have a new throwback uniform this year, and with a new helmet to go with it," said Rooney. "We're planning to wear our new throwbacks for the Packers game on Sunday night, October 26. It'll be fun to wear our throwbacks against one of the older franchises in the league. That just seems to be appropriate." Rooney also confirmed the Steelers will have a color rush uniform for another game in 2025. "We'll be doing our color rush uniforms late in the year. I think we're going to do it for the Monday night game on December 15 against the Miami Dolphins," said Rooney. The term new throwback sounds like an oxymoron. But with Rooney's announcement, the Steelers made clear they will wear a different former jersey and pants combination. According to the Gridiron Uniform Database, the Steelers only had their primary home and away uniforms from 1995 to 2006. In 2007, the Steelers introduced an alternate uniform that featured a gold helmet. It was the first time the team wore a gold helmet during the Super Bowl era. That alternate uniform also included gold numbers and letters along with gold stripes on the sleeves and white pants. The Steelers occasionally wore those uniforms from 2007 to 11. By 2013, the team wouldn't have been able to continue wearing that alternate uniform because the league introduced a rule that disallowed teams from wearing two different helmets. The NFL adopted the rule for player safety. From 2012 to 16, the Steelers featured a throwback uniform with black and yellow stripes to honor the 1934 team. The retro look was often called the Bumblebee jerseys. Some NFL pundits have ranked the uniforms among the worst alternates in league history. During 2016, the Steelers wore all-black uniforms as part of the NFL Color Rush program. They wore the uniform for a Christmas Day home game versus the Baltimore Ravens. In 2021, the NFL approved bringing back alternate helmets beginning in 2022. That has enabled teams to reuse helmets that were popular several decades ago. Based on what Rooney said, the Steelers appear ready to take advantage of the new rules with either another gold helmet or something else. Whatever they wear, the Steelers will don their new alternate uniforms in half the primetime games the team will play in during 2025. Steelers Will Howard receives brutal criticism from former NFL QB. The Pittsburgh Steelers opted to pass on a quarterback early on in the 2025 NFL Draft. Despite having multiple opportunities to select one, they opted to wait until the 6th round, where they selected former Ohio State Buckeyes standout quarterback Will Howard. Howard was able to lead Ohio State on a magical national championship run in 2024. He started the season as a major question mark and ended it as one of the reasons the team made the run it did. Entering the draft, Howard was one of the more intriguing prospects to watch. He has a good arm, but not an elite arm talent. However, no one can argue with the fact that he's a proven winner and has always defied the expectations set for him. At this point, the Steelers have just two quarterbacks in their starting competition. Mason Rudolph and Howard are the two options right now. Aaron Rodgers could still sign at some point, but for now, Howard has a huge opportunity ahead of him. That being said, one former NFL quarterback has spoken out with brutal criticism for the former Buckeyes star. Chris Simmons shared his thoughts on Howard in a recent appearance on Chris Sims Unbuttoned. His opinion is not one that Pittsburgh fans or Howard will love. Why isn't Will Howard being talked about as a first-round or a second-round quarterback? I don't know, because his arm is below average, Sims said. He's not incredibly accurate, and he's not the greatest athlete in the world, it's just the expectations. In response to Howard leading Ohio State to a national championship, Sims fired back and brought up how good the team around him was. There's a bunch of first-round players on the football team with him, Sims declared. Howard is getting the benefit of how awesome the team is there. Throughout the course of the 2024 college football season, Howard completed 73.1% of his passes for 4,010 yards, 35 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions. He also picked up 226 yards and scored 7 more touchdowns on the ground. Howard has faced doubts and criticism throughout his entire career. Now, he'll have a chance to prove Sims wrong and make him reverse his opinion. Obviously, the Steelers are high on the young quarterback. Hopefully, he can prove them right in the coming years. Mike Tomlin should coach in another organization. Ryan Clark calls out unfireable HC over Steelers playoff exits. There may be nobody in the world who is prouder to have been a Pittsburgh Steeler than Ryan Clark. Clark, a 13-year NFL veteran, played 8 campaigns with Pittsburgh. He helped the Steelers win Super Bowl 43 and made his lone Pro Bowl appearance, 2011, in their colors. Clark played his final 7 seasons in the Steel City under head coach Mike Tomlin. The two hold a close relationship. Tomlin's appearance on Clark's podcast, The Pivot, 2 years ago is one of the most viewed episodes in the program's existence. Bottom line? When Clark speaks about his former coach, his comments come from a place of love. So, when he boldly claimed that Tomlin should depart Pittsburgh after 19 years as their top dog, on Thursday's episode of First Take, you know he was speaking from the heart. I always say this, and people get mad at me. I believe that Mike Tomlin is unfireable. If Mike Tomlin steps away from being the coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, that should be his decision. And I do believe that should be the decision he makes. I believe Mike Tomlin should coach in another organization and be a fresh voice somewhere else. Clearly, Clark is not suggesting that Mike T is the problem, but that his talents aren't truly conducive to the environment in Pittsburgh. The crux of Clark's belief stems from Pittsburgh's residency in NFL purgatory. The Steelers have not finished below .500 in Tomlin's nearly 2-decade tenure, an absolutely incredible accomplishment. At the same time, they've not been good enough to truly compete for the Super Bowl for much of the past 10 years. Their last playoff triumph came on January 15, 2017. Does Tomlin shoulder the entirety of the blame for that? No. In fact, if Tomlin were a worse coach, he might already be coaching another franchise. Since that aforementioned postseason victory, 8 seasons ago, Pittsburgh has outperformed its expected record, described here as 10.7 wins. And his success came in spite of shoddy quarterback play for a large portion of that period. As Clark mentioned, this tune he's singing isn't new. He made a similar suggestion back in January, roughly 3 weeks after the Steelers were soundly beaten by the Baltimore Ravens, 28-14, in the AFC wildcard round. Back then, he had said, Mike T needs to find his Kansas City. But the important question is whether Tomlin is willing to leave the Steelers and choose a second team. Right now, the Steelers seem to be in the same precarious spot. Even if Aaron Rodgers joins the fray, Pittsburgh will be relying on a 41-year-old to outdo Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow just to win the division. And beyond the AFC North, there's a fearsome quartet: Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, and C.J. Stroud, looming as potential playoff foes. When you add everything up, a mutual parting of ways between Tomlin and the Steelers at the conclusion of this season makes sense. Tomlin can raise the ceiling for another organization, like Andy Reid did for the Kansas City Chiefs. This would allow Pittsburgh to finally hit the reset button and begin a real search for its next franchise signal caller. As Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots proved, all good things come to an end. The Tomlin-Steelers marriage has been that and more. But for both parties to take 2 steps forward, they need to take a step back and go in opposite directions.